And I've heard arguments that, The Daily Show, it has served its noble purpose. It's time for it to gracefully retire. The offshoots of Jon Stewart, Colbert, and everyone, I don't know, everyone who's become famous through The Daily Show, they have continued sort of that project past what it itself was able to accomplish, and sort of like logically extended the proposition. And now those offshoots are doing a better job than The Daily Show. So, maybe it should just be put to bed. I'm not sure. I'm not a religious watcher of The Daily Show, so I can't really speak to, its persisting value or not. But I have heard those arguments for what it's worth.
Yeah, I have not watched in recent years. Also, I no longer have cable TV, so that's part of the reason I would need to, seek it out to see it. I mean, right. The clips circulated online that were good, but what that made me think was that, Stewart wasn't as good in the Obama era as he was in the Bush era. Sure. And I think there's a reason for that beyond just the fact that Stewart is obviously a liberal and agrees more with Obama than he does with Bush, which is life under a lot of the Bush administration was absurd, and the media was playing it straight. And then Stewart was one of the few people, Stewart and Colbert were they were pointing out that oh, this was bullshit. A lot of this wasn't true. And the media has a very hard time. It's funny that this is about lying because, the media, when the media calls out a politician, it's usually for something that does not have actual political valence. It's like a gaffe or a misstatement or a flip-flop, because then journalists don't have to say one side is right, the other side is wrong. They just are saying you violated this neutral principle, you shouldn't flip-flop, you shouldn't tell a lie, you shouldn't say something offensive. So those are the kind of scandals that gain currency. But because the media is never going to say the Republicans are lying about this, even though there are a lot of things that the Republicans, especially during the Bush administration, were lying about. And so Stewart and Colbert's speech at the Correspondents' Dinner, that especially was a huge, cultural moment of Colbert, calling out Bush basically to his face. And it did seem like that kind of was a change. And so obviously I'm as liberal, I think Obama is better than Bush, but the targets weren't as rich, in recent years. And it became more kind of a media, they did more stuff just making fun of cable news, which is inherently absurd, than actually taking on, the political power.
Right, I agree. And I think that sort of the Jon Stewart vein of commentary comes out of such a deep disenchantment. There's so much puncturing, there's so much absurdity. And there's a little bit too much. I mean, obviously, there are plenty of things going wrong with the Obama administration, but that sort of burn it all to the ground. Let's just, throw our hands up and mock everything. That feels a little bit too disillusioned for the particular moment we're in right now, to me.
Mm-hmm. Right. And yeah, I mean, Stewart, I don't think Stewart was a kind of everything sucks, everyone is awful kind of guy, or taking on everyone. So Charlie Hebdo has obviously been in the news. They seem kind of they would take on anyone, and they would offend anyone. And it didn't, people in power or people out of power, it was kind of the South Park, we'll just make fun of anyone thing. And that wasn't really the Daily Show's spirit. It wasn't kind of a nihilist kind of comedy. You could tell that Stewart really cared about this stuff, and that that's what kind of fueled the satire. It wasn't just let's tear it all down and shit on everyone.
Sure, but still the mode is snark. It's just the fact that this venue was a comedy venue and the mode of commentary was mockery and satire, that sort of belongs to a particular political dynamic that, again, a different mode of commentary would be sort of more straight up news, like the Brian Williams model. So, but yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. There is definitely there's a soul within that criticism, definitely.
Yeah, and that's why I think Stewart really did have moral authority, because he wasn't just going for the joke no matter what. he told it like he saw it, and like he didn't bullshit. And so much of like what appears on cable news and what, if you're doing the nightly news every night, like some of what you're saying is bullshit. And
Right.
and like Williams kind of played with that persona, but only like the satirist can can accurately call out bullshit.
Yeah.
And and the brilliance of the Daily Show was that it used the TV news format to to mock TV news.
Sure.